This is so embarrassing. Listen, everybody has report. BuzzFeed, even when they released these 35 pages last night, they said these were unsubstantiated claims, that they had no way of substantiating them, that it was interesting that the Alpha Bank, when they talked about that server that Donald Trump had in his office, that was a server between the Trump organization and the Alpha Bank, which is the top bank in Russia. Why they had a server. And remember, there was this crazy story about, it was just for advertising or some such thing, right? It was just for advertising. Anyway, they misspelled Alpha Bank in the 35-page document that was generated by a private company that was, opposition research that was paid for by GOP rivals of Donald Trump. This is not classified information. This is work product of a private company that was hired by GOP rivals of Donald Trump. So for him to stand there over and over again and trash the intelligence community because he doesn't like the information that's in there, and to trash CNN as being fake news, they didn't report the 35 pages. They refused to print the 35 pages. The New York Times refused to print the 35. The only outlet that actually gave out the 35 pages that was not classified information, was private work product that was given by the private company that did the work with the acquiescence of the client. BuzzFeed said, we can't substantiate the claims. We think Alpha Bank was spelled wrong, and there's a couple of other problems we have. But here are the documents that were created by this British intelligence officer's private company on behalf of the GOP, who requested opposition research on Donald Trump. Those facts cannot get swept under the rug here because, frankly, it doesn't matter what's in here. What matters is his reaction. And his reaction is to trash our intelligence community, to trash CNN, to trash Lindsey Graham. And you know what's so interesting is when that reporter said, Lindsey Graham intends to send you a bill for tougher sanctions. You know, Trump didn't understand bill as in legislation. He thought Lindsey Graham was going to send him a bill that he owed him money. You know, you heard that, right? And you got that he didn't understand. Lindsey Graham has been on every Sunday show with John McCain. He was part of the questioning of Jeff Sessions about the Russian hacking in that hearing. He was part of the Foreign Relations Committee investigation open hearing with Clapper and Admiral Roger, where he said, so here's what I'm going to do about the Russian hacking. We're going to put together a bipartisan bill to increase the sanctions on Russia as punishment for hacking into our election. And not only was it the DNC that was hacked, but it was state Republican committees and it was the election boards in various states that were hacked into. And that was also but Donald Trump, when they said, Lindsey Graham says he's going to send you a bill for tougher sanctions, he thinks he means that Lindsey Graham is going to send him a monetary obligation to pay. Because that's how he thinks. He doesn't even understand it was legislation that the reporter was referring to. And then he starts saying, we are as bad as Nazis. Our intelligence community are as bad as the Nazis. Our media is as bad as Goebbels. And you've got Steve Bannon on your payroll, a man whose radio show you did, where you clearly said you couldn't make a decision on whether or not Turkey was a reliable ally in NATO because you have conflicts of interest, because you have two towers in Istanbul. And you're going to criticize CNN. Really? This is just so unbelievable. So here yesterday, this was a great clip for me to have pulled, I have to say. This was Senator Ron Wyden questioning James Comey because obviously what happened with this report was this British intelligence officer sent the report to various members of Congress. So this thing's been out since before the election. This explains Harry Reid's letter about explosive information about Donald Trump's ties to Russia. This explains all the background reporting about Donald Trump's ties to Russia. Time magazine, that made Donald Trump their man of the year, also did had a report by the former Dan Quayle, Vice President Dan Quayle's former communication director, citing Trump's many ties to Russia. We read that to you verbatim yesterday. David Korn had an article in Mother Jones about that called, what was his story? It's in my homework section. A veteran spy has given the FBI information alleging a Russian operation to cultivate Donald Trump. That was David Korn writing in Mother Jones in October. Okay. So now you know that all the senators, I mean, you know how many senators had this information. Ron Wyden obviously had this information. James Comey was also given the information by this private firm. Because when he said that he was what he was finding out was so devastating to our ability to self-govern with Donald Trump as a Putin puppet, that he had to tell the FBI. So we know James Comey has had this since October too.